Hey everybody, Dave Clark, aka the Pattern Guy. Hey, welcome to another Chalk Talk. Today we're going to talk about flasks. I know another really fun one, but it's kind of important to know. One of the viewers actually wrote into me and asked me why I use solid flasks and pour my molds with the flasks still around them. I guess he grew up in the Foundry, his family owned a Foundry and that, and they had what's called snap flasks, and snap flasks are like the best. What they do is you ram them up. This is a snap flask right here. Okay, we'll get to it in a minute, but what you do is you ram the mold up, and then you take the snap flask, will hinge apart, and it'll come up off of the mold. And then you set that aside, grab the mold, put it on a roller conveyor, and then the guys start pouring, and at the end of the roller conveyor, they knock them out, okay? I would love to use snap flasks. Mostly snap flasks are for high production also. That's another reason I don't do high production. You know, I do some onesies and twosies mostly, and then I'll do some smaller production than that. But the thing why I don't use snap flasks, I don't have any for one thing, and they're horrifically expensive. They are very, very expensive. So here's a snap flask right here that a customer of mine gave me, and I don't even know if this thing works anymore. This thing's it's ancient. Okay, this is made by the Heinz Flask Company. I believe they're in Pennsylvania. They're beautiful flasks. They're usually cherry. Like I said, this one's ancient. I think that's why he gave it to me. But what they do is, what you do is you mold your mold up, right? Yeah, you ram your sand up, make a mold, and then you just see it. It's so old. These things are rusted. What it is these are locks on it. So you undo the locks, and the spring's open. And then you just pull the whole flask assembly off your sand mold, and then generally what happens, your mold, I don't know if you can see on camera like how these are tapered. Okay, so that's for, you know, it's kind of like draft on your patterns, right? So it's tapered, your mold will be tapered like this, okay? And then, you know, there's your parting. We need to go over there. And then what they usually do, once you take the flask off, you have this, there will be a bottom board, okay? They have a bottom board, and the bottom board's usually for, you know, for your molding machine. I don't know if you guys saw it before. I was talking about a molding machine and how it squeezes the mold together, okay? So you need a bottom board for that. So then what they do is they'll put that bottom board with the mold on it out on their conveyor, and then what they do is, you know, they drop a sleeve, what's called a sleeve, a tapered sleeve. And usually, you know, I've been in aluminum foundries where they just cast the solid sleeve and drop them over. I've seen a lot of like steel fabricate, just sheet metal steel fabricated, they'll put them over. The one foundry I do a lot of work for, he uses snap flasks pretty much solely. And then what he does, a lot of the stuff, if you've seen the foundry videos I've done, I tell you how I clamp the ears, okay? And the reason I clamp them is because of the hydraulic pressure. You're pouring a lot of weight into your mold, and that weight will actually push the cope half, you know, apart, and you got molten metal all over your toes. You don't want that, okay? So sometimes what he'll do is, if he's doing a small enough, he does a lot of small castings and that, even with a lot on it, that, but there's not much weight. If there's only a few pounds of aluminum in there, that sleeve is good enough to hold that coat down, okay? And then if not, what he'll do is he'll put some weights on his. That's the way most foundries do them. He pours cast iron there so he can make his own weights. He makes these things, they look like dumbbells kind of deal. He'll put them on the corners, okay? So I should have checked this before I started filming to make sure it worked, but you get the gist of it. Okay, like I said, this thing's ancient. This one's really heavy too, but yeah, these usually, you know, these locks will pop out, and then there's hinges kitty corner there. They just hinge open, you know, go out, and then you're ready to make another mold, you know. So eventually I would like to get some of these, you know, down the road. I'm kind of hoping to grow my foundry as much as it goes, you know, so where it goes, but, you know, I'm kind of hoping I can do some higher production stuff. I've had some people ask me if I could do some higher production stuff. I'm just not there yet. All right, so another flask that we use, and this is the ones I've been using, I actually, when I bought the foundry equipment, I bought it from a high school, and it came with 2 furnaces, a heat treat furnace. I don't know how many flasks there were. There was like a couple dozen flasks, I think. So this was like the most popular size. This is a 10 by 12, so that's inside 10 inches wide, 12 inches long. I had like 4 of those. They were aluminum. I had like 4 other aluminum ones. And then I had a whole bunch of steel flasks. And the steel flasks are alright, and they're great for high school when, you know, kids doing just one or something. You know, the steel ones are fine, but they were just too heavy. And, you know, you got 60 pounds of sand in there. You don't need the added weight of the steel flask, you know. So I've been doing the aluminum ones. So what happens, like I said, I don't have the resources to go out and buy a lot of flasks. And I need a lot of flasks, a lot of different flasks. Not have the time right now to make the aluminum ones either. That's why I do the wood ones a lot of times too, okay? But like I said, the wood ones, you know, eventually I want this foundry to get going a little bit more. They're just not going to last. For, you know, backyard guys where you're going to pour casting or here or two or whatever, you know, wood ones are going to be great for you for a while, you know, and then maybe down the road you can make yourself an aluminum one. A lot of foundries that I work at, or that I've worked at, actually air aluminum. Well, here's another one we're coming up with too. This is just going to be a little solid. There will be 2 halves of this. This is a pattern I made, okay? A lot of times I just do little tiny jobs, okay? This is the smallest flask I have right now, so you know, I got, what, 70 pounds of 70 pounds of sand in this to make a little tiny thing, you know. It's kind of bare. So I'm coming up, I've got a whole bunch of different sizes of solid flasks. I'll be able to pour this myself again, you know. This fits in here, you know. I'll be able to ram these things up. I'm going to start making some solid flasks. When I worked at Aero Aluminum, the first place I worked at, it was a big foundry. We had, I don't know what the melt capacity was there, but we could melt a lot of aluminum there. And what they would do a lot of times, if they had like a bigger production job, what it was, they had like their molding floor, they had 2 rollover machines, like cope and drag, and, you know, they would flip huge molds as big as this bench here, okay? And then I think they had about 8 or 10 just little match plate lines where they do match plates all day, you know, so that's where they would use the snap flasks on the match plate lines, okay? So the rollover lines, they would do the bigger patterns on. So what Aero would do, if they were going to make a casting where, you know, it was like a couple fairly large casting, they were going to do a few of them a month, or you know, like a smaller production job, they'd actually make aluminum flasks. We'd be in the pattern shop, we'd make a pattern for a flat. I mean, we could make a pattern the size of this bench, and they would pour it, you know, and then they'd take it in the machine shop and put the pins and bushings in and that, you know. So, I mean, we'd make big solid aluminum flasks. That was if they knew they had that job, it was going to be a continuous job. if they had a job where it was going to be like onesie casting, big onesie casting, you know, they would get just steel channel and weld up a flask out of steel channel. You could do that if you're a backyard guy too. You know, that's the thing. A lot of backyard guys have like welders and that. You can, you know, weld up your own steel flask and that. The only thing, like I said, if you get professional and you want to do more production than that, you want to keep this stuff as lightweight as you can, because there's a bunch of sand in them, so you don't want to, you know, if this was steel, it would be like 2/3 more, right? So, you know, you don't want to have to lift this big steel flask plus all the sand that's going to be in it also, you know. So, you know, even these things, I probably shouldn't show you how I do them. Yeah, I mean, you can see it doesn't take much to figure these out. But, you know, eventually I don't want to get into the flask business, but I figure since I'm going to do these for myself, if I can sell them, I'll sell them down the line too. But what I'm doing is I've got limited space down at the foundry, so I don't have a bunch of room for a bunch of flasks either. Okay, I'm sure if you've seen any of my Foundry videos, I already got a bunch of flasks down there as it is. Okay, so with these, what I'm kind of hoping to do is, I don't know if you can see, I got them bolted. So what I'll be able to do is, you can see here, where's my numbers here? Okay, so you can see 10. All right, 10, and then I got a 12 right here. Okay, so this is a 10, 12 flask. So what I want to do is I want to cast a whole bunch of 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 inch ends, widths, right? And then I'm going to do different depths. I'm working on the 4-inch ones now, so I'll have, I think I got all the patterns made up to 24 inches. All right, and then the same with the sides. I'm going to do 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, all the way up to 24-inch sides. All right, and then I'm going to uniformly bolt these where when I'm done with these, I can unbolt them, and then I could put all my 4-inch high 12-inch ends in a box. I can put all my 12-inch sides by 4 inches in a box. All right, and then instead of having this big flask, you know, this is going to be compact, right? And then down the road, if I need to make a 14, 18 flask, I just go over to a box, get my 14 out, 14 ends out, my 18 sides, bolt them together, got my flask. Okay, so that's the thing. Like I said, I want to do them, but you know, that's kind of a neat thing for backyard guys, you know. Way to do things. Like I said, down the road too, I think I've got all the patterns for the 4-inch deep. So I want to do 3, 5, 6, then like 8, something like that. That's probably as far as I'll go. But you know, like I said, these are real nice. These are real nice little flasks. The only thing I can't do with these right now, I don't have the resources right now. All I'm doing is, you know, I'm just drilling holes right into the aluminum. So down the road, if you use these for production, usually they should have steel, hardened steel bushings and hardened steel pins. So you know, down the road when I can hopefully start affording that kind of stuff, we'll do that on there. Because you know, if I use this every day for a few weeks, I mean that, or a few months, whatever, that aluminum's gonna start wearing. You can't have that because it's you know, for accuracy, you know, you have to keep them back to front. But that's basically what it is you know, you choose your flask for what kind of work you're going to do. And like I said, right now I'm just doing onesie-twosies, small production jobs where, you know, I think the highest production job I've had to do so far, I've had to make like 10 molds. All right, so I actually use a 1024 flask. I've got 5 of them. So I rammed 5 of them up, and it actually worked out because that was about how much metal was in the crucible. I was able to pour all 5 molds. And then when I demolded it, you know, we mixed the sand back up, made 5 more molds, poured those. That's about the highest production job I've done so far. I've got a couple where I got to do that, and actually I told you I got to start working on the heads for the train signal lights I'm doing for the club. So I got to make, for the club, I got to make 44 of them. I'm going to cast 50, so I'm going to need 50 molds, okay? And the flask I have from there, I got 2 wooden flasks, so if I got to make 50 molds, you know, that's going to be some ramming, pouring, you know, so, you know, it would be nice, like that particular job, it would be perfect for this, because I could just ram a whole bunch of molds up. You know, you could probably, you know, I don't have the room either, but like my one customer, he does high production. He probably, and like Aero Aluminum too, literally they had roller conveyors probably, at Larry's place, they're probably about 25 feet. At Aero, the roller conveyors were probably 100 feet long. You know, they could put, like a small match plate line, they could probably put 50 molds on a line, you know, and then the pourers just go, you know, down the line, pour them, and then they just had a guy just, you know, knocking them out at the end. They had a sand system. It was really nice. Like I say, Aero Aluminum was a big foundry. They had all the nice equipment, all top-notch stuff and that, so it was fairly new when I started working there too. So, you know, that's your flask. So, like I said, backyard guys, you know, the wood ones are great. Like I showed you guys how to make those things. You know, if you do a lot of little jobs, you know, knock something up like that, you could probably melt enough metal in a little furnace to do, you know, 4 of those things. You gotta have a drill press to put your pins and bushings in and stuff like that. You know, this one, like I said, I mill the ends to make sure they're all the same. I want everything the same, and it's a little bit more production than that. And then I think these things, the Heinz, like this size, I'm not sure what this is, like a 12, 18, 12, 16, something like that. Something like this, I think they're about $1,600. You know, they're worth it, they are, but like I said, that's way out of my price range for right now. Maybe down the road, I got a lot of projects going right now, or, you know, project like these things, I'm doing these things, I'm just starting these things. I'd like to make some of these, you know, it would be kind of cool, because it's woodworking, and then, you know, I've seen guys make them where they put just regular, like, door hinges on stuff. I'd like to make some nicer hinges. I actually did one rambling thing, and I'll let you guys go. At Aero Aluminum, our sand foundry foreman he was the best guy. He was a cool. Chuck Motor, his name was, real super guy, and did a lot of stuff personally with him too. And when he retired, I used to do all the G jobs, all the government jobs in there. So I made a snap flask. All right, and yeah, I was a journeyman in that, but I literally made these handles. I literally grabbed a chunk of aluminum in that, you know, cut them out on a bandsaw, took a die grinder, polished them, you know, like they looked like chrome, you know, made the hinges by hand. I made everything by hand. We got some cherry. These are typically made out of cherry wood, it's nice and stable, and that. So made them out of cherry, and then we made them a little match plate. Made aluminum match plate, and we put 4 patterns. He was an outdoor guy, so we put a little boat on the one, and like a little model gun on one or something, or, you know, stuff like that. It was a pretty cool project. It took me a while, but, you know, like I said, he was a really good guy, so everybody wanted to do something nice for him. So hopefully down the road, like I said, maybe we'll do a project, and we'll make a nice snap flask for a project, because that'll be woodworking and some metal making too, or some metal work and some like I said, maybe too, if we get a little bit nuts, what we could do is I can actually make some patterns for the locks in the hinges, and that we can make some castings. and machine them in that. So I mean, that might be a good idea. That way we can make some more down the road too, you know. So, but that's your flasks. Next video, I'll try to get into some more woodworking. I know that's kind of what we're here for. Right now, I'm just gonna start a project, so I'm not ready to do that for the chalk talk today. Actually, I'm late on this video. Sorry, guys. So hopefully Sunday, I gotta go up to the foundry again Sunday. I missed this week. I had some personal issues this week. So I got some castings I have to do, so I might just film doing that. If not, I might, I gotta start a project. I'll try to maybe film it Saturday or something, start Saturday and go. The project I'm starting is a set of cylinders for rideable steam train for small engines, little engines, little engines. So I want to show you some of the things on that project. I'll try to do as much on that project as I can, but it's going to be one I really got to concentrate on it. So I don't want the distraction of the camera around it in that. Now, I mean, I'll try. We'll see. But there is one aspect of it. I think I mentioned the one time. The cylinders are going to be split cylindrical patterns. So that's a real interesting aspect of woodworking. I'll show you that particular part for sure, and then like I said, hopefully I'll do some more. There will be some more on that. I'll show you. It's going to have some really unique cores in there, so I'll show you as much of that as I can. I don't think it's going to be a step-by-step one though. So, all right, thanks for hanging in there with me today, guys. Like I say, I really used to watch YouTube stuff all the time. I hated when people say, hey, please subscribe, but I know why they do it now. I want to keep around for the long run. If you guys haven't subscribed, I really appreciate it, because like I said, I'm doing this for you guys, and I really want to do it, so I want to keep it going. So subscribe for me if you haven't, and I hope you enjoyed the show, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a good one out there.